Hey guys, this is Richter,
Yo guys, it's Blue.
and we're Anime Nexus here again this week with another review. So this time we'll be looking at the widely known and popular anime Death Note.
And this review is going to be split up into three parts: our likes and dislikes and the story.
So I'll start off with the story. Death Note begins by centering around our main character named Light Yagami. So Light is your typical straight-A student. Of course, being the main character, he has leftmost side of the seat in the classroom next to the windows. So one day he finds himself spacing out during class while looking out the window and sees a black notebook fall from the sky. The notebook catches his attention and he decides to check it out after class, only to find that it's the Notebook of Death. In other words, the Death Note. He reads the instructions of the notebook saying that any person whose name is written in the notebook shall die. Immediately after this, he comes in contact with Ryuk, a Shinigami, or god of death, who explains to him more in depth on what the Death Note is and what role he plays. So starting from here, Light's life completely changes as he decides to play the role of God, since he has complete power to decide who lives and who doesn't. He decides to use this power to try to rid the world of all the criminals, but as the story progresses, the power kind of gets to his head and he loses who he is as a human being and becomes closer to becoming a mindless murderer himself.
So I'm going to be talking about L, Light's first major rival. So L is a huge character and basically why anything happens at all in the series. L becomes Light's main rival and he tries to crack the case about who Kira is and constantly bashes heads with Kira in all in hopes to win. The best thing about L is that he's a playful character and he's extremely smart. He knows what he's doing most of the time and doesn't just screw around, but he has fun while doing it. He thinks of every type of, every case is a game and he's trying to win. So the next person I want to talk about is the second Kira, aka Misa. Second Kira is an interesting twist in the series, helping further develop the plot for the series and definitely making it a lot more complicated. The goal of the second Kira is to distract everyone else from the first Kira and completely throw them off from the trail. And rather than chase after Kira, who isn't really there. And the other two characters I want to talk about are Milo and Nier. Unfortunately, the story does not end when the conflict between Light and L ends, but instead drags on, introducing Milo and Nier, L's disciples who have become as smart as L in two different ways, with Milo being the more headstrong and try and do it in person type, while Nier's more like, I have to do it sitting in this room trying to look at all the evidence and piece it together. So they represent two different parts of L, and basically they're the only ones that can solve this case because both of them have to work together and use their extremes to solve the case. And final thing I want to talk about is how Light slowly starts becoming evil. One of the best things about Death Note is the way its characters are developed, and which is shown in Light throughout the series, as it goes from being an ordinary student, caring about the mundane things like grades and getting in the top percent of the class, to become a master of deception and manipulation. We see Light slowly transform and don't notice as he slips into darkness and becomes evil, and we join him in turning evil and looking at the cold, hard, calculated things of life.
Okay, so I'm going to be talking about my likes. First of all, I have to say that I like pretty much every character in this anime. Every character is colorful and likable, and as the series progresses, you'll come to like them even more. An exception may include, for me anyways, I did not like Misa, who plays a typical role of an annoying female character, as seen in every other anime. I also wasn't a fan of Nier, but I was able to overlook that. Secondly, I really like the concept of the Death Note. There are actually many rules regarding the Death Note and even the Shinigami themselves, which makes things interesting because Light starts abusing these rules and tries to use them to get out of tough situations, which brings me to my next point. How I really enjoyed watching Light getting out of these tough situations and playing mind games with his opponents. Just when you think Light is trapped, you see him smiling menacingly and saying his signature line exactly as planned, which always caught me off guard when I least expected it. So overall, that's it for my likes, and I'll be switching over to Blue.
So my likes are pretty much like interwoven together, except for the last one. The intense storyline, which is like it caught me every time anything happened. I was like thinking about it. I was like, oh, what's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen next? And then furthering into that, the plot twists that were used in the storyline, like just when you think one thing's gonna happen, when he's trapped in a corner, he just breaks out and has this entire backup plan. Just when the series seems to end, he finds a piece of Death Note paper and his memories are restored. He has paper in his watch. He can kill anyone that, like, it's just all this cold calculations that just end up working. I love the story. And then, like Richter, I wanted to say I love the characters. All the characters are insanely detailed. Like, you know, like, what Light's gonna do before he does it most of the time. Usually he's gonna have some type of backup plan, or then you know that L is gonna have some sort of backup plan, and you know what each which you expect, you know what each character's gonna do, and you expect them to do what you expect. But then sometimes they just veer off of that, and it just turns out making the story even better. And my last like is the openings. The openings really added. I like music because they add to the anime. Especially openings. I don't really care for endings, but openings are really good. I really like the first opening, World or Nightmare. No, yeah, World by Nightmare. I don't know why I like music, but yeah, those are my likes. And now we're gonna be switching over to Richter for his dislikes.
Considering my dislikes, overall there weren't many things I could find that I didn't like about this anime, so for now I only have 2 points to add. First of all, the ending for me felt a bit too rushed. I'm not gonna go too much into detail, but basically for me it kind of ruined Light's character, because through the entire anime and manga they build him up to be this really intelligent individual, capable of becoming this god that he's pursuing to be. And as Blue mentioned earlier, he always has a backup plan for everything. However, at the end I feel they threw all that out because Light begins to lose his cool so easily and makes the stupidest mistakes that you would not expect him to make. So, for my next point, I didn't like how they introduced the Shinigami realm and the other different types of Shinigami, and yet they don't provide that much insight into it. I believe they could have gave us more information on the realm and perhaps even on the King of Death, who was the ruler of all Shinigami. So that's all for me. I'll switch it over to Blue.
So for my dislikes, first off, I need to say I hate Nier. There's always one character in an anime that just ruins it for me. I can like put up with annoying characters most of the time, but then there's just some characters I do not like, and Nier is one of them. He tries to be L, but he's kind of like a rip-off L, and that just bothers me. Like Milo was a different type of L. He had like the calculation part of L down, but he was more like smart. But then Nier just tries to act like he is L. He eats like him. He sits like him. He just tries too much to be like L. So it just really bothers me that like they try and make off this rip-off L and try to make him better than L after introducing L. Like, if you're gonna have one character, finish it off with that character rather than introducing a character that's just like him. And another one of my dislikes was the second half of the story. This ties in back with Nier and Mello. They should have just ended it between the when the conflict between L and Light ends, because that's basically the climax of the story. That's all this has been building up from episode 1, where he's like, who's gonna find out? Is this detective gonna be able to crack the case for find out who Kira is? It's not about who's gonna find it out. It's about who's gonna find out. It's about it's about L finding out, not any random person, because L is the only one that's really challenging him. And for my final dislike was the amount of episodes. I feel like it was kind of rushed and shortened in other aspects, because it's a 12-volume manga, and they just kind of condensed it down into 37 episodes. I feel like the first half was really strong. I wish they could expand it on some more things. But the second half, I feel like it took too long, on the other hand. They just had too much stuff that I didn't really care about, and they could have cut out. So, now to part 4, our scores.
So I'll start off with my score. overall, I gotta say, I really enjoy this anime, and despite some of the dislikes I mentioned, I highly recommend it to any anime fan. It's truly a masterpiece, and I give it a 10 out of 10, straight up.
For my score, I also love this anime, even though I say I dislike a lot of characters and I disliked half the story. This was still a very amazing anime, and the first part overshadowed the second part. So it's also a 10 out of 10 for me. And also, I would recommend this to anybody who's getting into anime, who's watched anime. Even if you've watched it before, you should rewatch it because it's such an amazing anime. It's a must-watch. Like, if there was a list of anime you need to watch to become anime watcher, I guess,
And otaku.
or something like that. It doesn't even have to be an otaku. As long, even if you want to like one of the
If you just want to start,
yeah, if you watch anime, you have to watch Death Note. It's like one of those requirements.
yeah, it's definitely one of those staple anime that you have to watch no matter what.
Yeah. So
So
thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the Anime Nexus and to our individual channels. My channel is TheBlueSalamence. I upload Pokemon videos and Let's Plays and stuff like that.
and my channel is RetroAgeFan. I upload retro reviews of old games and stuff.
So leave a comment down below telling us what you enjoyed about Death Note. Subscribe to our 3 channels and be sure to drop a like if you enjoyed. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for watching.